in here Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 verse number 30 is the last verse. Earlier Prabhuji was asking, does Bhagavad Gita also speak about Dhyana Yoga? Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is in chapter 6, whereas chapter 7 is the most precious one because it's going to speak more about Bhakti Yoga. So we've seen how Bhakti Yoga is unfolding, and the last the last verse is basically explaining that Krishna is mentioning here anyone who has full consciousness of Krishna, who is aware, he as in Supreme Lord, the person who is aware that Supreme Lord is Adi Bhuta, Adi Daivam, and Adi Yagnyam. So in this slok, there are three important things for us to understand. The Supreme Lord is Adi Bhuta, he is Adi Daiva, and he is Adi Yagnya. So let's go and unfold the sloka from the beginning, what the word Adi means. So Prabhuji, you all are a little bit back. I don't know if you mind coming a little bit front. So I'm going to drop the mic because I think it might be a little difficult for you to hear. So the word Adi in Sanskrit means one who's the first. I think in Hindi, in Nepali, Adi would somewhere means in between, or you did half of the work, half is not done. But in Sanskrit, Adi refers to the one who has no birth and who has no beginning. So Adi means the one who does not have any beginning. I think we've all heard this in the Shringar Arati. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So he's the Adi Purush. So Adi Purush means he has no beginning, he has no end. He was eternally here in this universe. So the person who's already in here eternally is Adi Purush. I was just researching, and to my surprise it came that Adi in Islamic word means one who's in charge of. Adi is usually a Sanskrit word, but in Islam we've seen that, or they say that, you can either Google it, they say that Adi is someone who's taking charge of or in charge of is known as also Adi. So we can see from other languages as well the meaning of Adi. So let's see the one who's Adi Bhuta. So three things to remember: Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yagnya. So Adi Bhuta is, I'll just go with the translation, the governing principle of all the material manifestation. One who is in charge of all the material manifestation is known as Adi Bhuta. Please let me know if I'm a little faster. Okay? A little bit slow. And Adi Daiva is one who's the master or who's the main fountainhead of all the demigods. So demigod can be Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Surya, Shivaji, Brahmaji, and everyone. So who's the master of all the demigods? Krishna. And then he says Adi Yagnya. So Adi Yagnya means one who's the master of all sacrifices. Every time we do obligation to the fire, it directly reaches to Vishnu or Krishna. So Krishna is mentioning in here, oh Arjuna, the one who is fully aware of these three qualities, when they are dying, they can remember me. So we know that yam yam vapi smaran vavam, that when we die, we have to remember Krishna, and in whatever state we quit our body, that's going to be our next body, right? If I am going to remember cat, imagine my house is full of cats. So when I die, probably I'll remember them. And when cat is going to die, it's going to remember the master. So we are going to have the exchange of life. So we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam how Bharat Maharaj fell in love with a small deer. And then when he died, he remembered the deer. And in next life, he was a deer. And again, when he died in the deer life, then he came as Bharat. And then he got elevated and went back home, back to Godhead. So we know the Yam Yam Vapi philosophy. But then Krishna is giving answer in here that what are the things we need to know in order to remember Krishna when we die. So it's pretty easy. That means we have to know he is the master, he is the powerhouse of all the demigods, all material manifestation, and all sacrifices. So this is the clarification of the shloka itself in here. I will try and understand, I'll try and explain the purport. Prabhupada has mentioned elaborately about many different things, but one thing he spoke is about the association of the devotee. So first I tried to generally pick out some shlokas to refer this shloka. That means Krishna is saying that he's Adi Daivi, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Yajna. So in here I'm going to refer the slok in English, and I can give you the shloka number. If you want to do more research, you can go home and read the shloka. So Adi Daiva, so 10.2 in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of demigod and sages. So now in chapter 7.30, Krishna is mentioning that in short, he is Adi, Bhuta, Adi Daiva and everything. But if we see in 10.2, Krishna mentions that he is the origin of all opulence, whatever we have in the material world, and in every respect, he is the source of all demigod and the sages. So we know that Krishna is the main source of all the demigods that we might worship or we might be inclined towards. I think you've heard this philosophy many times. If I tell Gauranga, hey Gauranga, can you go and plant a tree? So imagine he takes a bucket full of water and then he just wipes the leaves of the water. Is the tree going to be alive? No. Where does he have to water? The roots. Similarly, Krishna is the root of all and everything. If we only worship one kind of demigod, yes, we are in the Vedic path, the Vedic culture. But imagine when we don't worship Krishna, what happens? The demigods are not going to be happy. This is my personal analogy, and I think people from Asia would relate, or even in the Western world. So if I am getting married and I am sending an invitation to Giovanna, so what happens? If I only write your name, only you will come, right? But in our culture, if someone writes the name of my grandfather, then whole family will go, right? So similarly, if we only call, hey Shiva, I'm so stressed, yes, then Shivaji will only come. But when you say, hey Krishna, Krishna will definitely come, but you would have 33 million other demigods coming with them. There's a saying, if you want to ask, don't ask for the servant, ask for the king or queen. Because whenever the queen is coming, all the servants are automatically following the queen because they have to serve the queen. So similarly, we have to ask. When we got a chance to ask, we got to ask for the Supreme Lord. So all the servants will naturally follow them, and we have darshan of everyone. Yes. And then we have Adi Bhuta. Shri Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande, Hare 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 Bol. So then we see about Adi Bhuta, chapter 7, verse number 7. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So I have this Kanthi Mala. Imagine if someone will snatch and the thread will break. What will happen to my Tulsi beads?
They will come out
everywhere. So similarly, Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, like the pearl's necklace is strung in a thread, I am that invisible thread. If I don't hold it, what will happen? Everything will be dispersed. Earthquake, whatever we have, natural disaster, tornado. Name more, Gauranga. Come on, help me.
hazards.
Yeah, different.
Natural hazards.
Yeah, that all will come at one point when Krishna will give up everything. So Krishna is mentioning in 7.7, Sutre Mani Gana Eva, that he is the main thread to hold all the pearls. And if I give up, O Arjuna, everything will be dispersed. So that is Adi Bhuta. Then we see Adi Yagnem. So we have this famous slok, I think you're also quite aware, Bhukta Ram Yagya Tapasam. So Krishna is mentioning a person who is full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity, the Supreme Lord of all planet and demigod. So how many planets we know? How many planets we have?
Infinite.
Infinite, yes. When I was of his age, I only read there were 9 planets. Then coming to this age, the scientists are finding more and more planets. But from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can already know there are millions and billions of planet, and there are millions and billions of Brahma. For each one universe, we have one Brahmaji. So from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can already understand that we have numerous planets, and Krishna is saying that he is the supreme lord of all planet and all demigods. So this is Bhagavad Gita 5.29. And the benefactor of all well wishes of all living entities. So one who knows that Krishna is the supreme master of all the planets, all the demigods, whatever we offer, he's the main thing, he's the main person. Then what happens to that person? That person's attained Shanti, he'll attain peace. Because we know material world is full of distress. Prabhupada says every step there's danger. But what we feel, oh Lord, earth is so beautiful, wish I have one more year, or probably 3 more years, look at the mountains. So we feel like that. But then Prabhupada mentions that world, especially earth, is full of stress, full of problem, full of misery. That's why Krishna says it's dukkhalayam asashwatam. It's temporary and it's full of misery. And there's also another name for earth, it's martyalok. So anyone who comes, that person certainly dies. When I say this, I just wanted to share a small pastime of Prabhupada. So once a person was asking Prabhupada, in India you have high death rates, because probably at that point of time I would say probably the hygiene and all the things were not very good. And then Prabhupada says, no, it's 100%. And then he mentions everywhere it seems 100% as in why. Prabhupada's analogy was anyone who is coming to the world will die anyway. It's not like in America, it's only 50, right? It's 100 there, it's 100 here, logic. So Prabhupada says, no, it's 100 everywhere. So that was his process. That is how he was thinking. So anyone who comes to earth will eventually has to say goodbye. So that is what we understand from here. And then Adi Yagam is like he is the beneficiary of all the sacrifices we do. So he's the Bhokta. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasham. Shuhidam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. So anyone who knows Krishna will definitely attain peace. So like I was mentioning in here, the chapter 7 verse number 30, we understood 3 things. So who is Krishna, or how we should remember him? I thought you raised the hand, sorry. So Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva and Adi Yagnyam. So now we understood all these in the purport. Prabhupada mentions that chapter 7 is all about Bhakti Yoga, and in the very first paragraph Prabhupada mentions that the beginning of Bhakti Yoga begins when we associate with devotees. So today we will more or less try and discuss about the importance of association. And when we discuss about importance of association, we will discuss few examples from Srimad Bhagavatam who did have bad association momentarily and they fell down. And we will speak about good association where people received and they were elevated. And probably few examples looking into the time. Yes, go on.
One person that was low elevated and then was high elevated.
Who was it? Yeah, Mrigari. Fantastic. So, any reference that you remember from Srimad Bhagavatam who did had momentarily bad association and that person momentarily fell down and later eventually got elevated? So, any examples that you remember or you could recall? I'll give you 2 options, good and bad both, so you can remember at the same time. From here, Prabhuji, do you remember any good association, bad association, any examples? That's okay. No, that's even I am. That is what I was mentioning in here. Sometimes the open-ended question is just to wake from the sleep as well. Sometimes it might be very boring, whatever I am saying. So the 2 bad examples today we will discuss can be Ajamil. Do you remember something now, Ajamil? No? Okay. And then we will speak about Saubhari Muni. And I think this is even more rare. So let's see how it goes. Anytime you are bored, you can let me know. I'll make it more interesting by asking questions. So Ajamil was a Brahmana. And one time he was wandering in the forest to pick some flowers to offer to the Lord. So when he went to the forest, he saw a prostitute with a man, which wasn't a very good scene. So I think we have these three monkeys, very popular in India, right? So when you see bad, you close your eyes. When you hear bad, so Ajamil should have done the same thing and just focus on his path. But because the material world is made in this way, naturally the mind is dragged away. So Ajamil kept looking into that scene. And when he came home, he naturally wanted to get married to the prostitute. And he was a Brahmana. So he neglected his parents. He kicked his wife. And he married the prostitute. So he actually wanted to keep her happy and satisfied. So he did all sorts of things. Everything being a Brahmana, even killed an animal. So all these happened, and when he was at the age of 80, he had a beautiful son delivered by his wife, and Rishi Munis, they came to his house and mentioned, "Hey Ajamil, can you name your son Narayan?" So he said, "Okay." And then he was in so much love. Who's a parent here? You are. So you know the love of a child, right? I don't have to go in detail. So usually parents are in so much love with the child. So Ajamil was about to die. And Ajamil was, because he was about to die, he was pretty afraid. So let me give you the scene, what he was seeing that we can't see. Sometimes I usually tell my older friend that when we die, this will happen. So we have to follow this path and that path. And they say, "Hey, have you died? Have you seen that? So why are you even telling me?" Nobody, when they die, they will come and say, "This happened to me," or "follow this path." Usually this is the defensive mode that they have. So I will tell you the scene as well. So there were Yamadutas. The hair of the Yamadutas were coppery red. They had Yamapash in their hand, and they were dragging the soul out of Ajamil's body. So you can see the very beautiful picture in there. So one body is lying here, the subtle body is already coming out, and in that stage he calls out Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. He's not calling Lord Narayana, he's calling his son. Like him playing. If I call him, he doesn't know, he doesn't listen to me. So similarly, his son was playing around. I think he was pretty small than him. And then he was constantly calling Narayan, Narayan. And you know what happened? The Vishnu Dutas came to the scene. So one side here's Yamaduta, one side here's Vishnu Duta. What will happen now? The half of the body is already going out. The Yamapas is already there. What's going to happen?
They two are going to argue and the Vishnu Dutas are going to win.
Yes, the two will argue and Vishnu Duta will win. So basically they will have argument that we are here to take Ajamil. It's time for him to go. And he is papi number one. He is sinful person. Why? Because he was a Brahmana. He married. He did all sort of things. And then now it's time for him to go back home to Yamaloka. So now the Vishnu Duta said, he just chanted Narayana. And since he chanted Narayana, he didn't make no mistakes, no offenses. That means he's pure. So imagine the holy name, how powerful it could be. He just purely said Narayana, Narayana. And since that moment, because he's dying and lying, he didn't cheat nobody. He didn't make any offense to anyone. So Vishnu Duta said that. And actually Vishnu Duta win and Yamaduta just leave and go. And because when the person is dying, we can see the whole scenario, right? We've seen many people dying, probably in the movies, probably in our real life. We don't see nobody. But because the person who's dying, I think they will have a special vision. They can see everything. So Ajamil actually realized he was such a big fool and he did such a big mistake. He said to himself, "Oh my lord, was it a dream? No, it was real. I saw Yamaduta and Vishnuduta hand on hand, both of them arguing only for him." So imagine how fortunate he was. But don't think that we are that fortunate. While dying, I'll just say Narayan, Narayan, and I'm going to skip. I'll do all sorts of things now. No, that's not going to happen with us. So then Ajamil actually goes, he meditates, he does bhakti yoga, and then eventually goes back home, back to Godhead. But the main story is just because he saw that scene, that whole thing happened in his life. But do you think we are as fortunate as Ajamil? Do you think so? No. So we have to begin from the very second you know that life is very precious and we don't know when death is coming, right here, right now.
And Mother, you guys just really quickly.
Yes,
what's
please.
more important in this story, Narayan or basically the name? Basically, there's also another story which is a joke. I think you said it before that a man had 4 sons, Govinda, and they all left the shop, and he's like, wait, who's looking at the shop? So what was most important to him was the shop, not Govinda, So in this story, he just called Narayan out of fear. But it's not Narayan out of love, like the Govinda for the shop. So you don't need to answer me now. Maybe you can get back to me. But I think the heart of the question is it the name that saves you, or the name with love that saves you, or name with feeling that saves you? Because Narayan was with fear, and that took him on one path. Govinda Gopal for shop was, he basically went back to shop. The cats will take you back to cat. So the cat could be named Radha, but that doesn't take you to Radha, it just brings you in a cat's body, which is called Radha now.
I will answer
so
this
you can
question
answer me later. Yeah,
right
sorry
at the
to
end.
interrupt. Sorry,
No,
I
that's,
just because
that's
this
absolutely
came
fine.
up so you
I
can
will.
get back to me.
Whatever information I have, I will give
Sure.
you
Yes,
at the end.
yes, sorry.
So then we see Saubari Muni. So Saubari Muni's pastime is very famous in Krishna book, and then in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Saubari Muni was a Muni. He was meditating underwater for many years, and he saw the fish mating, and just by seeing that, his mind was so agitated that he did not want it to have no meditation even for a second. He just got up and he went to ask the Mandata's Muni's daughter, and then he married lot many wives. I think around 50 wives he had. And then when he married, he had very opulent house and everything. Though being a Brahmana, he was very powerful because he had this mantras. From mantras, he could create many things, right? So what happened was, one day he was just wandering around and he thought that he's not very happy. And the source of him not being happiness is because somehow or other he's not satisfied. And deep inside the heart he knew it was just because of the vision that he saw that agitated and that made him fall down. So association can be a physical presence of someone, like we all are associating in here. Sometimes it could be verbal association, and sometimes it could be the vision association as well. So what we see, what we eat, what we do is very important thing in our life, to stay focused and to do what we are doing. So these were the two bad association examples. And if we look about the good association examples, there are plenty in Srimad Bhagavatam. But we will discuss a little more about Narada Muni. I don't know if you're aware, Narada Muni was in his past life a Gandharva.
Yes, I was aware.
So he was a Gandharva, and because he was a very handsome Gandharva, somehow or other, I won't get into details, but he got cursed. And when he got cursed, he was meant to be Dasiputra's son. So if we look into past, Dasiputra is not a very good post. Like Vidura was cursed to be a Dasiputra's son. He is originally Yamaraj, so he came as Vidura in Mahabharata, the whole thing. And Narada Muni was because he was a Dasiputra son. His mother was very poor. She was cleaning other people's houses and looking after Narada Muni. But yet, when I'm telling you the story as a Dasiputra, he's not Narada Muni yet. He is in his previous life, Narada Muni in his previous life. So Chaturmas came, and the Bhakti Vedantas, they came. So when Bhakti Vedantas were staying in Narada Muni's house, his mother served the Bhakti Vedantas very menially, and the Bhakti Vedantas were very, very happy with their service. And Narada Muni, whenever the remnants food were left in the plate, he would just take it, honor it, serve them, listen to them. And when the Bhakti Vedantas were departing, as in for their next journey, because the Rishi Munis usually they don't stay for a long time, but Chaturmas is something they stay in one place and do their sadhana, because since next month it's going to be a little rainy season back home, and because of the rain they just stay at one place. So while they were departing, they initiated Narada Muni. So since they initiated, he knew what mantra to chant, and when they departed, his mother died. I think you're aware about the story. If not, please refer Canto 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where you find the whole story. So his mother died, and then Narada Muni was only 5 years old. At that age, he didn't had no pain of his mother dying, but he thought that is his opportunity to do more bhakti. So he headed towards north. He found all gigantic snake, jackals, wolf, industries and everything, and Prabhupada mentions not only modern era is industrialized, we see from here that even in the past it was already industrialized and everything, and that all happens. And then he finds a small lake, he takes shower, he drinks little water, he picks the fruit, he takes the fruit, and then he starts to meditate. And when Narada Muni in his past life he meditates, then what happens is like he sees he gets darshan of Narayana with four-handed very beautiful form. And then when he sees that, he's very pleased, and then God, the Lord, disappears, and then the Lord says that, oh Narada, that when you come to next life you'll come to me, just continue your bhakti in this way. So as a Dasiputra, when he dies, he directly gets birth as Narada Muni, and that is how he becomes Narada. So we know that the association of the Bhakti Vedantas actually gave him a new life as a Narada Muni. So that is how he became Narada. And another best association example is his own very, very good disciple, Prahalad Maharaj. So I think we discussed this last Friday as well, that how Kayadu was already kidnapped, and Narada Muni preaches Kayadu because she was pregnant and he was preaching. Kayadu might not be listening sometimes, but Prahalad Maharaj within the womb of his mother was listening everything. And just by hearing it within the womb, he becomes a fantastic devotee. And I think we've all heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit were always reading Canto 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam just to glorify Prahalad Maharaj. So we can imagine how fantastic devotee he is. So every time we say Jaya Narasimha Dev, then Prahalad is going nowhere. Jaya Jaya Prahalad Maharaj. So we sing glories about him as well. So we know that Prahalad Maharaj was a very special devotee. And the another fantastic thing about him was like when Narasimha Dev came, and then Narasimha Dev said like, I'm very happy with you, please ask me what do you want, oh son. Then he said like, please forgive my father. He tried to kill Prahalad with all means. If I slap him twice, I don't know what he will say, but Prahalad Maharaj had such a great heart that he just asked for forgiveness for his father. And then he says, well father, your 7 lines above, 7 lines bottom, your 14 generations will anyway go back home, back to Godhead. So that's the glory of Prahalad Maharaj we have. I just took out the association from Chaitanya Charitamrit, where Prabhupada mentions that Mukunda Datta was a fantastic devotee, but sometimes also he was listening to Mayavad philosophy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving darshan to everyone, and Mukunda Datta was just staying outside the door. He wasn't coming inside. And other devotees, they say that, oh Lord, Mukunda Datta is here. And then Mahaprabhu says that he's preaching, but at the same time he goes and he's listening to the Mayabad philosophy, so I'm not very pleased with him. So when Mukunda Datta hears this, he's happy that Lord knows about him, what service he is doing, and in the future he might be very pleased. So he goes and offers his obeisances, and just by the moment of Lord Chaitanya's association, Mukunda Datta is delivered from the Mayavad association. He is completely delivered and he's into the path of Bhakti Yoga and chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we know from Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koy, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So if we have the moments of association of a devotee, then our life is accomplished, our life is full, and I think we already have paved the path to come back to Godhead. So let's chant the holy name, let's be happy in Krishna's association through chanting his holy name, and let's be in association with devotees by coming to the temple, speaking to devotees, being friend with the devotees, and understanding the philosophy to make life a lot more easier. So let me look at the time. I don't know if we still... Prabhuji, what's the time? Okay. So that's in here. And Prabhuji was mentioning the story of Ajamil is authentic in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the story that a father had 5 sons and he had a shop is a hypothetical story. First thing is this. And the second thing is, like, whatever we see in Srimad Bhagavatam is desired by the Lord to show us. Every story has a story. Every story has a life within the story. Whether we see Bharat Maharaj to Ajamil to Chitraketu Maharaj to Purana, everything, you name it, everyone has a story. So in here, through Ajamil's story, what we can learn is, like, we're not very fortunate like Ajamil, like do all sorts of things and come back to Godhead. And Ajamil was a Brahmana, so we
he had all this penance before.
Yeah.
So I think the heart of my question is really, what really saved him? Is it just saying Narayan, or is it all his, because before seeing that cross, he had this entire, he was a very devout boy. Like, he was a very sincere, like, everything he could have done until the point he sees the prostitute. He basically was a very devout guy. He was almost, until that moment, just one mistake. But that one mistake was, it was an unknotting of all his previous, this entire canon of so that one mistake unknotted all of that.
I wanted to add in here that when you said what is more powerful, so the storyline in here is like...
So it's the name, right? So it's just saying
It's
Narayan.
the name,
it's just
and
saying
it's
Narayan.
the faith in the name. Why I would say...
But he's calling his son.
Yeah.
So
But
he's not calling
the
God,
intensity
remember.
was pure.
But that
is
was out
the
of
thing.
fear. That
was
fear.
That is out of
He's
fear.
not calling God though, remember. He's calling his son.
I understood. So try to
Right?
understand here. So his name is Gauranga. Every time I call him, it's out of love. And his name is Gauranga just because, not only to call him, directly, indirectly, I want to be connected with the Lord. So let me tell you the story. May not fully satisfy your heart.
No. I'm just trying to understand. Like,
So,
what actually saves him.
if
That's
you
what
say,
I'm-
where is Rampur, Prabhuji? Then whenever you say Ramapura as well, Lord is so merciful that He's only going to take Ram and benedict you
Are
something.
you sure? Because, okay, I'll tell
I
you
am.
another story. Because there's a story from Valmiki's life, right? That, before he becomes the great composer, before he writes the Ramayana, who was Valmiki before, right? He was the cruel bandit, right? Now, when the sages first give him Ramanam, he cannot say Rama. So my understanding of that story was that because that was in a different yuga, because that was Treta Yuga, he just could not say Rama. But because we are in Kali Yuga, anyone can say Rama, anyone can say Krishna, anyone can say Hare, any person can say any God's name. But this is in Kali Yuga.
But the problem
But-
is they don't chant. When you
No,
go
no,
to the
no,
street
let-
and
let
say
me
Hare
finish.
Krishna,
Let-
they
let-
don't want to
let
say
me finish,
anything.
Mataji. Let me finish.
Yeah,
Let me
carry
finish, please. Because I think what I took out of Ratnakar's story. Sorry.
Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
So Mataji, this is the heart of what my question really. So from Valmiki's story, what I took out is that because it was a much purer age, he could not say Rama now. First, basically the sages told him, keep saying Ma Ra. And as you keep going, Ma Ra, you will start saying Rama.
That naturally becomes Rama.
But this is Kali Yuga, anyone can say Rama now. Which becomes, is that an operad there? See, this is the heart of my question because, sorry, one second. See, the heart of my question is that in Kali Yuga, anyone can say Rama now. Anyone can say God's name. But this lesson from Valmiki's story was that you have to go through a certain stage of purification. The sages, basically, that association of sages was not enough. That association was not enough. The sages told them no, because as soon as you say Rama, all these anarthas will come back of you killing or robbing or all your bandithood. Those anarthas will start coming back. So the sages basically told them. So I think in Bengali culture we have this thing of Ma, mother worship. What you were saying of Mayavadi worship. Now the story you told, this person was in direct contact with Mahaprabhu. He was at Mahaprabhu's feet. He could see Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu was in flesh and blood, like Krishna was for Arjuna. But for me, for a person like me or any, right now, Mahaprabhu is a picture. Mahaprabhu is Mahaprabhu is just, Mahaprabhu is this distant. I am not in direct contact with Mahaprabhu. I am not blessed to be in direct contact with the avatar.
You are here.
No, you're not. See, that Mayavadi story you said, that person, just by coming to Mahaprabhu.
So what's the main question, Prabhu?
So-
I'm
so-
no expert in here, so I want to take your
So I
question
think
in very
the
short
heart of my
and
question
answer.
is from your story, from Ajamila's story. Narayan was, just a hypothetical case. But from Valmiki's story, my understanding
It's
was
not hypothetical. It's written in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Govinda Gopala, that story that you mentioned as a joke that he had a shop, is hypothetical. But Ajamil's story is 100% authentic.
No, I'm not
And
questioning
real.
the authenticity of these
But you
stories.
just said
I'm
it's
just
hypothetical.
asking you what saves him. Is it just saying Narayan? Or is it the fact that he had all these other, he was a very sincere, devoted boy?
So in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna, he asked Krishna that, oh Krishna, if someone, just starts bhakti yoga and then leaves in between or in middle, what happens? So bhakti is something that is permanent. If in this life I do 20% of bhakti and die, in my next life I'm going to begin it from 21. Clear? Gauranga is learning ABCD now, and in next life we again begin from nursery. Yes or no? Who came to class 10 directly? Anyone? Nobody. We all go from ABCD, the very same thing. But bhakti is something that when in your next life you've completed wherever or you had a full stop, it's going to continue from there. That's why we see among us as well, we have fantastic high class devotees because they have understanding from past life. And few, no matter how much we try to inculcate the knowledge, it's going to take time because we have past karmas. One in here. So Arjuna mentions, Krishna mentions, oh Arjuna, whatever you do in terms of bhakti, that's never ever going to perish. So Ajamil being a Brahmana, we just heard the story since we saw that scene. But before that, he was a fantastic Brahmana. So a devotee never perishes. And Ajamil was a pure devotee. So momentarily, it seems he fell down. But at the end of the day, it was Krishna's will that he wanted him to take back to Godhead. And it's his pious credit what gave him the calling. Sometimes we might not even call our son. I named him Gauranga, yes, but probably I might call him, or I might call my mother, or probably some friend. So it's all the call of the Lord, whom we're going to call, that's already predestined. But what we have to do, with faith, when we chant the holy name, everything will come. And Lord is not different from the holy name and the Lord himself. So, like also I was mentioning, we're not fortunate like Ajamil, so we have to begin the bhakti right here, right now. And for Ajamil, it was his faith in the beginning of his brahmacharya life when he was small, until that age. And then when he was dying, I would say it's a show of a God, that he wanted to teach us, hey, this is what's happening, and when you chant, you can come back home. And through Bharat Maharaj life, we can see, okay, when you die, you see a dare, then you become a dare. From Chitraketu's Maharaj life, we learn that when someone's dying, it's temporary. And then the Chitraketu's Maharaj's son, he dies in the very small age, because all his 999 million wives, they poison it, because the first wife gave birth and Chitraketu Maharaj was very much attached to the first wife. So because he was so agitated, and both the husband and wife was crying and they couldn't believe, they were cursing and everything, like why this happened to me, why only me. Angira Muni and Narada Muni actually came to the scene, and Narada Muni, due to his mystic power, the dead boy came to life. And Narada Muni said, please accept your mother and father. They can't bear that you are dying. They can't bear that you are gone. You know what the child says? Child says, I have many, many parents in my many, many lives. And in upcoming life, I might be born from many's womb. And I don't want to go back to life again. It's okay. Everyone is shocked. Everyone is listening and everyone is shocked to hear this. So what do we learn? That anyone can come to life? No. We learn that, okay, when someone's dead, they realize things, and when they are born again, they forget few things. Like Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Riddhi Sannivishtu Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. That from Krishna, remembrance is coming, forgetfulness is coming. If we don't forget, life is difficult, right? Imagine that he is my sworn enemy in last life. Can I be his mother? No, we'd be fighting every single day. So because we forget, it's easier this life. And because we forget, it's easier next life. So that is my understanding, Prabhuji. I hope it satisfied your heart. It's 5:15. Let's continue. Okay, Prabhuji, yes.
What is association and why association?
What is association?